currently in Lando's position, he is 62 points off from Max Verstappen. That's currently. That's just right now, given the mistakes that they've made, given the misjudgments that they've made. Lando is currently 62 points off of Max Verstappen for the Drivers' Championship. And the truth is, Lando could be a lot closer to Max Verstappen as far as the Drivers' Championship standing. So what I will say is that right now has been seen and proven to be more in the hands of the team making a mistake than the drivers. We already saw for several other events, McLaren unknowing of how to call strategies when being the lead team. Probably likely because they haven't been there for a while. Understood. But time and time over again, it's not understood and it's not okay. They've made bad mistakes as far as pit stop strategy. They've made an error as far as now prioritizing their drivers and prioritizing not only the Constructors' Championship, but the Drivers' Championship. Lando could be a lot closer than just 62 points from Max Verstappen in the Drivers' Championship, but he isn't. And a large part of that is because of the team, because Lando doesn't control pit stops. Lando doesn't call pit stop strategies. And they shouldn't let Lando all the time call pit stop strategies, because before we've seen Lando retract his pit stop strategy as a driver where he calls himself that he's going to overrule what's going on. And then we saw later, Lando's like, okay, well, never mind. Y'all tell me what to do. Okay. We will give credit where credit is due. Lando has, without a doubt, been ultimately horrible at race starts. But even with those race starts being horrible, Lando has managed first place finishes. Lando has managed podium finishes. But Lando is not responsible for the team boxing him. Lando is not responsible for the strategist calling the strategy. Lando is not fully responsible for that. That would lay at the hands of Stella and Zach Brown. That's who that would be. So they have messed up, and they messed up ultimately today. Today, McLaren completely messed up. Before Lando messed up the start, Zach Brown messed up the meeting. Zach Brown, free and clear the race, don't touch, don't wreck. That's not what you do right now. See, this rolls into why McLaren, we already said they don't know how to call strategies as a leading winning team. They're calling strategies like they're still fighting for mid-pack positions on covering drivers off that are no threat to you and then compromising your race finish. We talked about this. We said this. This is a growing consensus. So Zach Brown, when you come into a race where your driver literally is under 100 points from Max Verstappen, 60 points right now. Piastri has 197 points right now, okay? He is 106 points away from Max Verstappen and at least, how many points away from? He's 44 points away from Lando. Max Verstappen and Piastri are not in a race for the Drivers' Championship. Yeah, Oscar can close a gap, but he's not going to win that. He's not going to overcome 100 and something points when we're already talking about Lando doing something that's historical to overcome 70 points to overturn for a Drivers' Championship. You don't come into this race with this amount of glory at the hand of you and say, you know what, we don't have a meeting. You go race each other, and they damn near took each other out in the first turn. Fortunately, they didn't. But Zach Brown, you should have sat down and said, listen, hey, we've already had plenty of situations. I know. Piastri, we've asked you. You've done it. Team orders when it came to Lando. We had a situation, a little bit begrudging, for you to adhere to team orders, but you finally did it and you made the right decision. But at this point in time, we are not only in the run for constructors, we technically have a driver that could actually win the Drivers' Championship. Let's not forget, Max Verstappen was off podium. He was 6th. That ain't great for him or Red Bull. It's even better if Lando gets first place. So you tell Piastri, hey, man, you're going to have to take a back seat. You're not racing Lando into the first turn. Lando is priority. Lando needs to come in first. This is how we're working this out. Unless something unfolds on track where Lando's car is compromised, Lando shows that he has ridiculously slow pace, tire deg is bad for Lando, and Piastri's got it. We're not going to compromise both. At this point in time, Lando, you're losing in several areas. Oscar's got the ball. That wasn't the case. Oscar phenomenal out in front. That's my dog. Pia is my other driver. So don't think I don't want Pia to win. I want Pia to win. But right now, we're talking about business decisions. We always up here talking about Aston Martin and the business decision with Lance Stroll. By the way, Oscar Piastri said something so damn funny in his conference. He said Lance Stroll was out there driving like it was his first go-kart race. That shit was funny as hell. My bro said Lance Stroll is out here driving like it's his first go-kart race. That was funny. That was funny. Do not also forget, Lando got the fastest lap. So on top of getting the win of 25 points, he gets the fastest lap, and that's 26 points. We're talking about a smaller deficit than 60 points. Mechanic Mercedes, they had this conversation, but Lando screwed up and Pia took advantage. No, they didn't have this conversation. Zach Brown talked about it. Now, what you want to try to wonder or imagine, that's one thing. But Zach Brown, out of his mouth, said, I told the drivers they could race each other, just don't touch, and race fair. That's what he said. He never told us. So factually, that's what came out of his mouth. Now, what you want to assume might have happened in a theoretical world behind closed doors, go ahead, go for it. But I can tell you this. He looks ultimately stupid. And guess what? There are many journalists, specialists, tacticians, analysts that are looking at Zach Brown like, what the hell are you doing? So I don't know. I can't dream of what he might, would, or could have said. I'm just telling you what he said on TV. And what he said on TV is he allowed his drivers to go into this race and race against each other, which is not the right decision in this situation. Unless, and I'm going to get to the unless part. This is one of these things where, don't get me wrong. What I'm about to say is going to probably come off a bit wrong for some of you. Okay, what I'm about to say. And I don't even want to say it, but I got to say it because it's true. This is one of the situations where Red Bull are who they are and why they had what they had, because they are cutthroat. They don't mind telling you, we have a clear-cut number one, we got a clear-cut number two, and that's the way it's going to be. We got somebody who we want to win the Drivers' Championship, and we got somebody who is going to help that driver win the championship. And that's the way it's going to be. And they're not the only team to do it. Schumacher had it. They're not the only team to do it. So let's not act like it's brand new. Now, I don't agree with all the other stuff Red Bull does. I don't like Red Bull as a team. I don't like them as their character. Not everybody at Red Bull is a bad person, but overall, Red Bull and the company, its character is shit, okay? But this is where they shine because they make these decisions. Perez knows you're not the number one. You're going to support the number one because we're pushing as many points as we can to get him to the Drivers' Championship. This is where you need to kind of adopt some of the Red Bull ways. This is where McLaren needs to say to themselves, Pia is number two, You're great. You're not great. You're a good driver. You're phenomenal. You're going to probably be great one day if you keep this trajectory up, but that's not today. You don't have the points to rival Max. Lando does. We need you to do A, B, C, and that's where we're going until we get to Z. This is why Red Bull shine in those moments. They maximize the driver who is in the lead to give them as much cushion between the rest of the field so that they stay out in front. McLaren, you better get on your job. But I will say this, and this is where I'm going to hop back because I'm trying to keep all of this real in context and also fair to different perspective. Maybe McLaren are making a decision that they feel may come to them in the way of Oscar Piastri. Maybe McLaren have observed things from Oscar that they didn't observe from Lando when Lando started. Maybe McLaren said, Oscar's going to be a better driver and in short order. Maybe McLaren said, Lando can't start well. Lando half the time is not clear and cut with decisions that he wants to make. Lando at times gets frazzled and gets out of hand. Oscar, on the other hand, is cool, collective, does the right thing with the camera, respects the greats, and also he's a phenomenal driver. And he may be on his way. So maybe McLaren said, instead of us giving team orders, because we know who Oscar Piastri is, this is the guy that said on social media, Alpine is lying to you all. I have never told Alpine that we have this contract. I didn't sign a contract. As a matter of fact, I'm up out of here. That's the same guy. So that guy doesn't mind telling you to F off. Oscar Piastri doesn't mind standing on business. So maybe McLaren said, you know what? We're not going to sit here and damage our future that we firmly believe in. And right now, maybe McLaren believe a bit more in Oscar's ability, talent, skill, and his body of work than they do Lando Norris at this point in time that he's been in Formula One. Maybe that's what it is. And maybe instead of saying, you know what? Lando Norris has been in for 6 seasons. Oscar Piastri has been in 2, and we've already seen things from Oscar that we haven't seen from Lando. So instead of telling Oscar, you're going to support this guy, telling Oscar, don't be the great you, telling Oscar, sit down and be number 2, telling Oscar, listen, you matter, but not as much, telling Oscar, you know what, you just help be a wall. You don't think about trying to go for it all. Instead of telling Oscar that and Oscar losing faith and hope in the team and not being what you want him to be because you fought a lot to get him, maybe McLaren said, Lando, you're going to have to get it the best way you can. And in moments where it really makes sense, we'll help you. But we're not going to tell Oscar Piastri to let you have it off the go when you suck off the start. We're not going to tell Oscar Piastri going into the first turn, lay down. We're not going to tell Oscar Piastri when it's clearly evident that he's the better driver on track and he's out front to slow down and let this driver through. We're not going to do it. We'll do things sometimes because we have and it made sense just like you did. But we're not about to handcuff this young talent that we went to legal litigation about, the contractual recognition board about. We fought to pry him out of the teams of Alpine. We paid Alpine fucking restitution to keep him. No, we did all that for a reason, Lando. We did it because he's a star. And right now, Oscar Piastri is proving that he's a star. That may be the case. Maybe McLaren don't want to damage their future in Oscar Piastri. But I can tell you this. In a situation where you got business to make, I still stand by there need to be some team orders somewhere in here to say, why wouldn't McLaren? I know McLaren is a team game, right? So the Constructor Championship is the big thing for them. They want to be number 1. They want to take Red Bull off. And I'm going to tell you right now, they are pretty much, they're getting there. They are less than 20 points out at Constructor, I believe. Hold on. Let's see how many points they're out. They're only 8 points out for overtaking Red Bull in the Constructors' Championship. 8 points out. Perez, with his finish, Perez finished 8th, Max Verstappen finished 6th. You can bet your ass that Perez is going to finish on average that or lower for the rest of the season. Max Verstappen likely might not be on podium a couple of more times. And I said that last week when people were like, no, that ain't. Mechanics say, bro, it ain't the time for that. Oh, it's always the time for all of that. I said last week, Max Verstappen may be on podium a few more times before the end of the season. Where there goes another one. I'm telling you, there's going to be another 2 coming. If Lando gets first in this race, we talking about a real smaller gap. So, yeah, there are some business decisions that need to be made for sure. And at this point in time, with McLaren only 8 points out from debunking Red Bull from constructor and 60 points out from having a driver in the championship, winning the championship, you got to make every decision you can to maximize that opportunity. I mean, that is historical. You're on a historical egg right now, and you're not sitting on it. You're not laying on it properly. This egg is not going to hatch because you're not doing your job. I understand if you don't want to risk Oscar Piastri's future belief in the team, but Oscar Piastri comes across to me as somebody who might understand this. Just being real. Mathematically, Oscar Piastri to me can look at something and say, you know what? I ain't really got it right now. So that's cool. I can make it happen. We can make this happen for Lando. We can do it. And they need to. They need to. Just for everything to go on, they need to. Oscar Piastri's coming up. He's coming up. Tomorrow's not promised. All right. Today's not guaranteed, and yesterday is gone. So I don't know what's going to happen. So I hate to say, hey, dampen it and tomorrow you get it because it's not promised. But let's just look at things, hindsight, things being positive, that tomorrow we'll wake up, see the sun or the rain on our face, and we'll be able to live another day of life and so on. Oscar Piastri, I think, is a driver who could understand the dynamic that they are sitting in right now as an entire team. I think Oscar Piastri is even pretty much feeling that, you know what, I'm in a good situation with a good team, and I got good opportunity to be a driver championship if the development of McLaren cars stay with this. Galactus says, I'm calling the McLaren wins constructor. Bro, I think they're going to win constructor. They're only 8 points out. That's a pretty safe bet. They're only 8 points out from Red Bull right now. Accumulatively, I think they put an 8 gap on Red Bull between Oscar and Lando and Perez and Verstappen next race. I think that is fully like something that's going to happen. I mean, think about it. Sometimes Perez ain't even there. His best race, I think, was last race. But McLaren, y'all got some decisions to make, bro. Zach, you got some decisions to make, man. Y'all need to be having these conversations now because it's a real thing. They just gave up the win today. McLaren literally gave the win away. That pit stop strategy was horrid. Charles Leclerc showed you that you could take those tires out. He nursed them while your driver, Pia, was on the push to try to recapitalize or regain what you caused him to lose, and he still didn't get it back. Whilst Sainz was compromised, Leclerc was tires were even big. They were older for sure. He had like 1.52 seconds on a pace, and he still didn't catch him. So what the hell makes you think that Leclerc was going to catch Piastri? That's crazy to me. It is absolutely crazy to me. As a matter of fact, hold on. Let me check something. I just want to look at something real quick. I'm gonna look at this real quick because I want to see. Because what lap did they pit Pia? They pitted Pia in what lap for that last time? Let's see. When did they pit Pia? They pitted Pia in lap 38. They pitted him lap 38. All right, lap 38. He's on hards. Gap from the leaders 5 seconds. He's got, how many laps did he have on his hard tires at that point in time? Just to see if it even really remotely made sense. He had 21 laps on his hard tires while Charles had 22 laps on his. It was a 5-second gap. Charles was running, his best last lap was 123.2. Pia's was 122.9. The last lap was 123.5. Pia's last lap was 122.6. What are we talking about? Charles Leclerc is out of DRS. He's damn near sure not in the slip. I don't think they made the right decision. And then you end up putting Pia behind Sainz by damn near 7 seconds and behind Leclerc by 18 seconds, and it damn near an entire pit stop. And yeah, he closed the gap. He managed to close the gap by the end of the race. By 52 laps, he was behind Leclerc by 5 seconds. What are we talking about? And Leclerc's on 36 old lap tires. 36 old lap tires Leclerc's on. 37 by the end of the race, and still Pia's 3 seconds behind him. McLaren messed up. They messed up. They should have left Piastri out there. That's not Piastri. That's Zach. That's Stella. Those are team decisions. That's not the driver. And the good question, Mechanic Mercedes, that's a good question. Is Ferrari now faster than Mercedes? No. Oh, no. Yeah, I think so. Yeah, I think so. I think no, this is what I will say. They're faster than Mercedes this day. Let's not go overboard and start all of a sudden thinking Ferrari's out there. Good question, but I think, you know what? That's a good question to poll, Mechanic. Let's poll that. Let's see what other people think about that. That's a good question. Let's see if people feel that way. Let's see what people say. Let's see what they say, bro. Because I think I don't think that's enough right now to say yes. I need to see another couple events from Ferrari. I'm not buying all this right now off of Ferrari. I'm not doing it because Ferrari is up, down, all around. The next thing they smile, next thing they frown. No, Ferrari's too bipolar for me to say, oh yeah, all of a sudden Ferrari's on pace. They got it right. They done nailed it down. They're going to take off. They're going to reclaim their spot. I'm not with that right now. I need to see more from Ferrari before I go there. 69% people saying no. They're saying no. 71% of people are saying no. So I guess there you go right there. 17 votes, 71% say no. Ferrari is not faster than Mercedes right now. And I'm willing to go that way. Today is where they were faster. That's it. I'm just giving them in a small vacuum. That's it. They have not earned the respect. They have not earned the space and the what would I say, the grace for me to say, yeah, they're faster and they've done it. No, Ferrari's been all up, down, around. We feel like Ferrari should have been on the boat. They should have been online. They should have been on point, and they haven't been. Just because Monaco, the last race kind of looking better, qualifying this race, no, Ferrari I need to see 4 races out of these next races for me to say Ferrari actually might understand something. They might understand something. That's what I'm saying. They might understand something. I'm not even willing to say they do understand it. We'll see. But one race, I'm not giving Ferrari all that credit. Like, no. Good job. And you only got it because McLaren messed up. Let's be clear. Ferrari only got the race win today, which it happens in racing. Not discrediting their win or what they were able to do right. But what I'm saying is, even in all the things Ferrari did right today, had McLaren not did wrong, Ferrari would not have won that race. We would have saw McLaren 1-2. McLaren completely screwed up strategy again, which is not the driver's fault. And that's just what it is. So that's what I got to say on that. Also, like I said, today, Ferrari, congratulations. Charles, congratulations. Got another race win. And this is why I say even Lewis Hamilton in a Ferrari is going to get a race win. But is that really what we're looking for? Are we looking for Lewis Hamilton to go to Ferrari and have a similar season as Charles Leclerc? I doubt it. I don't think anybody's looking and going to say that was successful. That move to Ferrari's on something. If Lewis Hamilton goes to Ferrari and Ferrari are only able to be as good as this, that Lewis Hamilton can only manage to get a couple of more wins than Charles Leclerc in a scarlet red car, that's not success. And Ferrari is the type of team where no matter how great you are, what they do, the mistakes they make, the bad decisions that they choose can dampen your success. And that's a fact. So I'm going to tell you right now, Max Verstappen is learning to drive without asymmetrical braking. McLaren needs to do better with prioritizing the drivers and trying to manage to optimize the Drivers' Championship and Constructors' Championship. We're hearing that Kevin Magnussen might have his ass fired by Baku, possibly. Colapinto, congratulations on finishing 13th. Lewis Hamilton, way to finish in front of Max Verstappen. And Russell, if I don't know if Russell, if you color, I'm pretty sure you color outside the lines. You couldn't stay inside the lines today for some damn reason, but it happens. You know, you'll bounce back hopefully. And big shout out to Kimi Antonelli, which we will talk about that later. So with that being said, Wolfpack out. Peace.